Lead the Way, a podcast for school leaders with author, speaker, and educator, Dr. Bill Ziegler.
Welcome to Lead the Way, a podcast for ed leaders by ed leaders in 5 minutes or less. Today, I'm with just an awesome principal, leader, and author. If you don't know Jessica Cabeen, you need to listen to this podcast today and get to know her. She's an amazing person. Jessica is the principal at Ellis Middle School in Austin, Minnesota. She's the Minnesota National Distinguished Principal, and she's also an award-winning author who does a great job. Jessica, it's so great to have you on the program today.
Oh, thank you. It's so fun to be here, and it's such fun topics too. And I'm learning so much, even reflecting on this myself. So I'm excited, and hopefully will help some of your listeners.
Yeah, Jessica, one of the things that I hear so many times from listeners is the difficulty of communicating during this COVID season and how mixed up it can be. What are some tips and strategies you would give ed leaders on how to communicate effectively during this COVID season?
Well, and my guiding mantra in this, because I've made a lot of mistakes. So this is learned life lessons in communication, is clarity is the antidote to anxiety. And so if you can do anything, be clear in this season. And that has really guided a lot of the communication to all stakeholders, parents, students, and staff. That's really kind of helped me reframe and refocus. And we were just saying offline, people either misread or they don't read it at all. And so what are we doing to make sure that messages are received and understood in the manner that we're trying? So one of the things I really focus on is consistency. So the staff know that they're going to get a newsletter or I use MailChimp. So once a week, every Thursday is really our building communication. And so we try to limit email because otherwise it just grows and goes and reply all. And then I wasn't going to reply all. You've been in those chains before. And so we send out the newsletter once a week. I've included a Google checklist. And so right away, it's a self-care. So rate how you're feeling. Let me know if you need anything. And then I leave an open-ended question. What are some things that you need from myself or Ryan, the assistant principal? And then we respond to all the questions the next week. So they know there's a platform for getting things answered. If they're immediate, we try to respond quicker, but usually it's questions that everybody has. And so there's a framework. There's consistency with that. I think when I talk about parents and students, using multiple platforms. And so, for example, when we went distance learning this week, we posted updates in our student portal page, in our parent portal, on Instagram, on Facebook. It was the same thing, but we hit multiple platforms to ensure that it was seen by as many stakeholders as possible. We've been really trying to use YouTube as a visual too, because this is really uncharted territory for so many of us. And I'm always so worried for parents who are now educators at home that didn't know the system very well before. And now they're navigating Zoom and Schoology and all these different things. And so being able to model and screen share and show parents, here's how you find out how much missing work your child has. Here's how you look at their schedule. Here's how you email teachers, has been really helpful. And I was really nervous about it at first because I don't always feel camera ready, but they don't want a perfect principal. They just want somebody who's present and willing to answer questions. And so being able to create these little videos, and then we also create them in Spanish as well. And so I have an interpreter on screen with me from a different room. And so then we'll talk through it. She'll translate it. We go through it in real time. And that's been really well received from families because we've taken the intentional time to make sure that it's understood in the language that on their home native language. And then finally, I think one thing that I've gotten really good at is reusing information. It's okay to say it 8 times. It's okay to keep, you don't have every newsletter doesn't have to be all new things. A lot of times we'll put our new information on top, but then things that are still relevant, like here's the links to Zoom in with a tech coach. Here's the link to Zoom in with the instructional coach. Here's the building schedule for next week. You can keep things on the bottom that are just good information and then put the new information on top. But it's okay to reuse videos or graphics or things that are really still important. You don't have to reinvent this wheel in the season that we're in. And I think that's also just a good model for staff is less is more. And again, just being really clear.
Yeah, those are some really powerful strategies. Jessica, you offer so many great resources for leaders today. Why don't you share with them just some of your books briefly and some of the work that you're doing and how people can get connected to you?
Oh, of course. So my first book was Hacking Early Learning about pre-K 3 leadership. And then I transitioned into The Balance Like a Pirate, so the self-care. And then I finished up, and then Lead with Grace was my final book on the soft skills of leadership. But if you have any questions or want to reach out, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Jessica Cabeen and on Facebook as Principal in Balance.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on Lead the Way.
Always an honor. Thank you.
You've been listening to Dr. Bill Ziegler with Lead the Way. Bill has great resources for school leaders at chaselearning.org. That's chaselearning.org. Thanks for listening to Lead the Way with Dr. Bill Ziegler.